So what if I told you there's a psychological force so powerful it can make a brilliant surgeon remove perfectly healthy organs, all while he's convinced he's a hero? It's real. It's called incentive cause bias, a mental model that the legendary investor Charlie Munger talked about all the time. Today, we're going to break down exactly how this invisible force might be secretly running your life and mine. All right, to really get this, we've got to start with a story that Munger himself loved to tell. It's a little wild, but it perfectly sets the stage for everything we're about to uncover. It's about this surgeon way out in a small town in Nebraska. So Munger says this highly respected doctor was sending, and I'm not kidding, bushel baskets full of normal, healthy gallbladders to the pathology lab. For years, he was just performing surgery after surgery, taking out organs that had absolutely nothing wrong with them. And the big question is, why?
I mean, you have to wonder, right? Was this guy just a con artist? Was he consciously thinking, hey, here's a great way to make a ton of money by just maiming a few people every year? You know, the chilling answer, according to a friend of Munger's who actually helped get the doctor removed, was hell no. He honestly, truly believed he was helping people. So what on earth could explain that?
Well, the answer lies in one of Charlie Munger's absolute most critical mental models. It's a psychological force he thought was so powerful, he even admitted he'd been underestimating it his entire life. It's called incentive cause bias. And what that really means is it's this subconscious tendency for our brains to literally bend and warp reality to fit whatever our personal incentives are. That doctor wasn't a monster. His brain was hijacked. The financial reward for doing surgery was just so strong that it didn't just tempt him, it actually rewired his medical judgment until he started seeing a perfectly healthy organ as the source of all evil. And look, this isn't some rare thing that only happens to a few bad apples. Munger warned that this bias is everywhere, in every single profession. He said it causes awful behavior, even in people you'd be thrilled to have marry into your family. It's not about bad people doing bad things. It's about good people whose brains have been completely hijacked by incentives. Okay, so how does this actually work? You know, Munger's observation isn't just a good story. It's deeply rooted in the foundational science of the psychologist B.F. Skinner. Skinner's whole thing with operant conditioning was showing that our behavior is basically shaped by what happens after we do something, right? You get a reward for an action, you're much more likely to do it again. Well, incentives are just a really, really powerful form of reward. And over time, they don't just shape what we do, they actually start to shape the thoughts and beliefs that lead to those actions. And this shows you the incredible power of getting incentives right and getting them disastrously wrong. Take FedEx. For a while, their night shift workers were paid by the hour. And guess what? They had an incentive to work slowly. But then some genius changed the pay to a flat rate per shift. The incentive totally flipped. Finish the job right and you can go home early. The problem vanished like overnight. And then you have Xerox. They set up a commission plan that actually paid salespeople more to sell an older, worse machine. You can probably guess which machine suddenly became their bestseller. Now, this bias isn't just in some dusty old business school case study. It is operating all around you every single day. Let's just look at some of the common places Munger warned us to be especially careful. Just think about the advice you get. Is your stockbroker paid to give you the best possible long-term plan, or are they paid to get you to trade more often? And hey, when was the last time a management consultant came in and said, you know what, everything's great here, you don't need us? Never. Of course not. Their report always finds problems that require, you guessed it, more consulting. Their incentive isn't to solve your problem, it's to stay employed by it. I mean, Munger, a guy who sought thousands of deals in his lifetime, put it about as bluntly as you can. After decades of listening to sales pitches, he basically concluded that when someone's paycheck depends on you saying yes, their version of reality is almost guaranteed to be twisted in their favor. So, this is the crucial point, right? How do we protect ourselves from this powerful, invisible force? If even our most trusted advisors can fall for it, what can we possibly do? Well, Munger laid out a really clear 3-step defense system for thinking straight. Okay, first, Munger says you shouldn't just be skeptical of advice, you should be fearful of it, especially when the advice is incredibly profitable for the person giving it. Second, you have to do your homework. You've got to learn the basics of their trade. You can't spot a weak argument if you don't know what a strong one looks like. And third, be ready to check, to disbelieve, and in the end, to just throw out their advice. You have to trust your own objective thinking above all else. But here's the real kicker. Munger's biggest warning wasn't about spotting this bias in other people, it was about spotting it in yourself. Because if you find yourself stuck in a system with messed up incentives, it can slowly, quietly warp your own thinking, pushing you to behave more and more foolishly without you ever even noticing. The key is to ask, am I in one of those systems right now? It's pretty easy to spot the incentives driving a surgeon or a salesperson. It is so much harder to see our own. So the real question to walk away with is this: in your job, in your habits, maybe even in your relationships, what are the invisible incentives that are secretly running your life? Because figuring that out is the only way to make sure you're actually the one in the driver's seat.